Hi, my name's Taylor, and I'm going to show you how to win Fortune's Foundation. It's a very difficult solitaire variant from the Zachtronics Solitaire Collection, but I've grown to really like it. Before we dig into the game, I'd like to show you in the settings, you have the option for the tarot-specific settings, and so you change the numerals from Arabic, which is a more traditional thing that we're used to Roman numerals, which is what you would see in tarot decks. I like the way the Roman numerals look, but functionally as a game, Arabic is helpful. The other thing I want to point out is the tarot movement. By default, it's set to single card, which can get a little tedious, especially if you play a lot. So moving to the entire stack movement is a great alternative. So that's what I'll be using for this, and I encourage you to try like that. And jumping into the game, we start out by shuffling and dealing the cards. As aces are dealt out, they're actually pulled up to the Minor Arcana Foundation right away. And so the Minor Arcana Foundation is going to represent all of the cards that look more like traditional playing cards. The symbolism here is swords are like spades, wands are like clubs, chalices are hearts, and the discs or coins are like diamonds. Over here is the Major Arcana Foundation, and that's going to be where we see all these darker cards that have their own unique illustrations. Major Arcana is one of the compelling parts of tarot cards, and one of the fun things about this game. So when you end the game, the last Major Arcana card that made it to the Foundation will be the reading you get for that game. And that's become part of a daily practice for me. As I play the game, I read the tarot card and I just kind of interpret it for what am I looking at in that day. So anyways, back to the game. We want to take note of the board, and one of the things to notice is this empty column is vital, and empty columns are essentially how you're going to unlock the board to win the game. You can also use it as a pivot, and we'll talk about that later. So this is changing, you can use it to change stacks of cards from being ascending to descending. The other thing that I'd suggest, especially early on, find your leads. And when I say leads, there's an order that you go from the lowest unit to the highest unit for the Minor Arcana. So that's 2 to King, or we already have the ace on there, don't have to worry about that. So going from 2 to King. And for Major Arcana, you can actually go from 0 to 21 and 21 to 0. So our leads for the Major Arcana are going to be 0 here and 21 here. That's helpful. It's close to the top of the stack. We have the 2 of Cups here, also very close. This is a great combo, just looking at these actions here. And then again, here 2 of Swords and 2 of Discs are right next to each other. This is awesome. I think we're going to win this game on the first shot. That's exciting for me. We have the 2 of Wands here as well. So this is looking like a really good game for us. Let us... Oh, press the wrong button. I got excited. All right, back to the game. So, part of what we could do, we have this 8 of Cups. We'll move it over to the 9. That brings up the 2. That's great. Then we have this 8 of Swords onto the 7. Again, great. Now here we have the 6, 8, and then we have 7 over here. So one of the things that you can do is move the 8 over, the 7 on top of the 6, 8 on top of the 7. Now I notice I had the 9 here. I'm gonna move this over. This is gonna be cool how it unlocks a couple of things. So the 9's gonna move over. When I release it though, we're gonna see the 21, 20, 19, 18 cards all go up to the Foundation. That doesn't happen all the time, so that's very exciting. Then we'll move back to, we have the 8 of Discs, which we're gonna move on top of the 9. The 3 goes up automatically, that's great. Now we've got a cool combo here where we have 9 and we have the 10. So we want to decide, do we want the stack to ascend from 7 to 10 or descend from 10 to 7? That's actually an interesting one. So I think May move this over here so I can then change that. Now I've closed this up, but because I saw an opportunity to move we have the 6 and the 7 here. Let's move it like that. But then I also notice I have the 8 and 9 here, so I'll move that over here. So we have an empty slot. That's great. Let's keep this empty slot. Now, what are some of the next things that we're looking for? We have all of our 2s. We have 1, 3. So now we're looking for 3s and 4s. Looking at the 1s, 3 and 4 is kind of buried. So that's going to be a little tricky to get to. The 3 of Cups is right here. We have to be careful though, because the King can complicate things. Yeah, so we're not going to act on that just yet. For the Wands, 3 is buried here. This is going to be a little trickier. Okay. So we had a really strong start. It's going to be a little trickier to move forward from there. Let's see. Then looking at the top cards, 15 connects to the 14, a little buried, and the 16. Jack connects to the 10 of Wands and the Queen of Wands, again buried. We have 6, 7, 8, 9 of Cups, and that's nice to have that sequence, but then what do they connect to? Okay, here's what we can do. The Jack, I'm going to move it over to no, I can't quite do it yet. So I can move the 5 up here. I want to get this 5 onto the 4. I can't quite do that. This is when a pivot will be helpful, but it's not the right time. So that's a bit of a bummer. What we can do though is no. Okay, I was gonna say we can move this over and this down. It's not the best play, but maybe we'll stick with it. Well, shucks. I may have shot myself in the foot. Undo, you get 1 undo, and that's not going to help out here. So, yeah, this is a great start, but I may have to wipe, and that's maybe a good example. Part of getting to this number of wins, I've played thousands of games. There's so many games where I'm just like, you know what, I gotta start over. So let's just go ahead and start over. Try the same principles again. Looking for our leads. So notice the 21's close to the top, the 0 is here, 2 is a close by number to the 0, then we have the 1. So that's promising for the Major Arcana. Minor Arcana, 2, 3, 4's at the top, 5's here, 6 here. This is actually pretty cool. I'm just gonna move this over. It's gonna go all the way up to the 6 of Cups. I can move the 10 to the Jack, but I'm also noticing that the Queen of Swords is available. So I'll move the Jack over to the Queen of Swords, the 10 on top of that. This is opening the bottom end. Cool. We've got 0 through 4 of the Major Arcana up in its foundation. That's helpful. Then looking at the top, I'm just seeing there's a lot of Major Arcana. This is great. I think the cards in the middle, so this is like the teens, 10 to teens, they're kind of harder to get to. You have to work from, small to big or big to small to get there. So it's kind of the middle, and they can be tricky. So I'm gonna see if I can cluster them a little bit for right now. So we got the 15 on top of here. That's good. I'm also noticing the 17's over here. So I'm gonna do this. I'll pivot. So now the 16 is on top, and I can move the 16 on top of the Major 17. Let's see. There's 12 and 10 are close to each other. 13 goes here. And then 11 is a little bit more buried. So what is the play here? All right. There's the 2 of Swords here, which we want to pull up. So our goal is to get this 10 out of here, but have a good place for it to go. I don't know what that is yet. Let's look at what else we have. We have the 7 of Cups is ready to go up. All right, I'm noticing that we have the Queen, Jack, and 10 of Swords, and the 9 here. I'm gonna go ahead and move the 6 over, so I can move the 9 up here. We may need to pivot this later, so I want to keep this slot open. I'm looking at what 6. Woo. All right, so the 7 is here, 7 of Wands is here, and the 5 of Wands is here. So even though the 7 of Wands is buried, I can pull this over and then move the 6 of Wands over to the 7 of Wands. That's good. Let's see. We have, okay, I'm gonna take the Major 10 down, so I can put the Jack here on top of the Queen. I also noticed that the 9 is available. Okay, cool. So the 9 of Wands is available. I can move the 10 of Wands, which will also bring the Jack over. Now we have almost all of our 2s are in place. Let's see what else we have. Cool. We have the 6 of discs can go over to the 5 of discs. Then we have the 5 of Wands can go on the 6 of Wands. Now here is the situation where I want to get the 7 of Wands to here, but I can't do that. The way that I approach that is I'm going to move the 10 up to the block the minor foundation, move this over to the empty column so I can pivot it. So now I have 2 choices. I can move the 7 of Wands and everything over here, or I'm looking at that 8 and there's a 7 here. Let's actually change that around. So in this case, you have to be mindful of when you can pivot these things. So move the 8 over on top of the 7. Cool. Now, oh, great. We have the Jack 10, 9, which we could then move the 8, 7, 6, 5 on top of for the Wands. This is great. We have the 8 here. And I'm just keeping track of this because I recognize that the 10's up here. Sometimes you're going to see something that's going to be able to feed into the foundation, but sometimes you'll miss it. So, occasionally it's good to bring this down. Nothing needed to be pulled up. It's okay. What I do know, though, is that I move this to the side. Major 10 comes up. The Jack of Cups can go onto the Queen. And then the 9 can go on to the 8, but check this out. We've got, ooh, I got excited, but maybe too soon. So I could move this over here. The 19 goes up, but I have a king, and kings are really hard to work with because they can only connect to queens. They're kind of useless, which I think is a great allegory for kings in the real world. They're really dependent on everybody below them and useless on their own. So let's undo that. We know this combo is like in the mix. It's ready to go when we're ready for it. So I'll move the 9 of discs over for now, so you keep that empty column. I am noticing that we're up to 4 here of the Major Arcana. The 5 Major Arcana is here. 6 is here, then 7, 8. So there's something interesting, but unfortunately we don't have the free slots to really handle all of that yet. Oh, cool. I can move the 13 over, so the Jack and Queen of Cups can go into the 10. Then I can move the 8 and 7 over. I'll move the 6 on top. And the decision making here is this 6 can connect to the 5. The 8 can connect to the 9, but given the order of things, we really need to get this 5 of Swords out of the way first. So what I'll do is move this over here. Oh, this actually handles a lot of itself. There are some times where you have to, fidget with the bits a little bit more, and maybe in a future video I could get into that more. It really just comes down to how the cards are dealt. So I'm noticing that I have the Queen, Jack 10, and a 9. So I want that 9 to go with the 10. I have a couple different ways of approaching that. Let's try the first step. Cool. 3 goes up. That's great. Now I have the choice of moving this stack over to the 9, but that blocks the 7 in. So let's move the 9 over here. The 7 can go on top of this stack that I've already started to develop. So then I'm noticing we have 4 of swords is stuck under the stack, and sometimes it could just be misleading or deceiving to see, like, I see a stack of cards, but it's not a perfect sequence, it's just the shuffled order from the initial dealing. So there's a couple of things we can do. We have, our goal is to get the king on the queen, and then the 4 with the 5, and then we also have the 6 here. So then we have the major 11. It's ready to go up. So what we'll do, king goes over here, 6 goes over on here, and then we'll move the 6 onto the 5. So the 4 goes up. All right, we're ready to end the swords. So the queen goes on top of the king. And you know, I'm just gonna undo that real quick. The king is on top, this entire line is blocked. And there's a number of times that I'll end up with this and I don't have an empty column to pivot onto, so I'm stuck and it just leaves me cursing the king. So yeah, let's try and remember to keep slots open. We now have 3 slots open. Most of our major arcana are dealt with. This is a done game. I'm excited that it went this quickly. So, okay, we had the 12 and 13 major. Now we have a couple different ways of approaching this. We're getting towards the tail end or the higher valued major arcana cards. So we can work from 14 to 19 or 19 to 14. So let's look at what we have. Just a couple of housekeeping things. I will get the king here. Again, useless on the top, so we're going to pivot him over. Then I'm noticing this opportunity for, oh, cool, there you go. That we got almost all the major arcana out of there. We'll have Temperance as 14. So that'll be our final card. That's exciting. I like that one. Cool. So then we notice there's things here. We have the 10 on top of the 4. And if I move this over, that's going to deal with our wands. Great. So Temperance is going to be our final card. We just need to finish it. So in this case, actually, all I need to do is move the queen off of the 3. It could be anywhere. I just like to pair it when possible. So put the queen with the king, and there you go. We got it. Temperance. There's no need to rush. Progress is a given if you incline yourself appropriately. Stay calm, stay hydrated, stay in harmony with the world around you. This is great advice, especially as I'm just trying to record this video and my mouth is getting parched. So let me take a quick drink of water. I've really liked this game. I've made a practice of playing, 1 to 3 times a day. Essentially, I treat it like its own little spread. One of the things I've started to do when I'm playing in Steam is I could press F12. This may not capture it, but I take a screenshot, and that becomes a record of these cards that I have. So I can actually go back and look at the spreads that I've had for certain days, and it's fun. So that may be something I'll make a video about in the future, but for now, this is an introduction to Fortune's Foundation. I hope you enjoyed it, and leave a comment if you have any questions. If you have a higher score, if you just started getting victories, brag about it. I think it's really exciting. I almost gave up on this game at first because of how brutally hard it was, but it was my wife loved the artwork, I love the artwork, and so I was like, I want to spend time playing this game, but it's so hard. And making it over that first hurdle, getting that first victory felt so gratifying. So I've stuck with it, and to the point where I started to think about, like, what are my strategies? Can I share this information with people? Like, my wife and I would really just be sitting at the computer together and trying to figure out how to communicate about, like, what the different techniques are. So that's where a lot of this comes from. Just a desire to figure out how to solve this really challenging problem. So thanks to the team at Zachtronics, I wish them all luck on the projects ahead of them. I know that the company and the contributors will all be changing shape in the future. But thanks for this, and that's it. See ya.